right, welcome to VOP this morning. Welcome back. Well, look what the cat's dragged in. Kayla Abraham joins us this morning on the show.
Yes.
It's Kayla's debut on this part of the show. Well, Kayla's not a new face, of course, but it's her
Yes.
debut on this side of the show. Good morning to you, Kayla.
Good morning, Moses. Happy Thursday.
Oh,
The
yes.
weekend is near. I'm excited. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I should be excited about the weekend because it's still work anyway. You know how it is.
I totally understand. I totally
It's
understand.
work all the same.
Yes.
Oh well. So let's take this away from here.
Well, let's get into the first topic. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections has stated that the certificate saga of President Bola Tinubu has further worsened the country's less than glorious image in the world. Peter Obi, while addressing a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, stated that the certificate issue has affected the average Nigerian within and outside the country. His words to the outsider, the entire Chicago University matter, as well as Chief Bola Tinubu's many other lingering identity question marks have further worsened Nigeria's less than glorious image internationally. Uninformed outsiders now see every Nigerian as a fraudster, certificate forger, and identity thief. The controversy is unnecessary, and the implicit global embarrassment could have been avoided. Well, joining us right here in the studio is a communication consultant and a public affairs commentator, Akin Fatunke. And also virtually, we have Nick Agule. Good morning, Akin.
Well, I like to say good morning, Kayla. When Moses said it's your debut, I just couldn't fathom. But the only thing that I see as a difference is that you're in red. The woman in red,
Lady
making
in
a
red.
debut, and I think we are in for exciting times.
Oh.
Moses, thanks for having me here, and good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Welcome to the
Thanks
show.
for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, we also have Nick Agule joining us virtually. Good morning to you, Nick. That's if Nick is in.
Shagogo, good morning to you in the studios and good morning to our viewers globally.
All right, great. Good to have you. All right, so let's start with you now, Aki. This is what Peter Obi is saying. This has brought embarrassment to Nigerians, especially the fact, the controversy. Nigerians have been perceived in a certain light.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about this before, but here we are again, back to this same conversation. And we will continue to talk about it as long as it makes news. Now, is Peter Obi, taking this overboard? Or what do you make of this statement now?
Absolutely within his rights to say what he feels that he wants to say.
You feel the same way or do you feel different?
Yes, you need to go to the buka, you need to go to pepper soup joints, you need to go to wherever. Freedom of information to speak and voice is totally, for Nigerians, it's enshrined in the Constitution. What perhaps we need to put a bit of a break to will not be the responsibility that comes from freedom of expression, that consequences, when it comes back, like the yo-yo, may hit and may hit badly. So in that wise, I dare say Mr. Peter Gregory Obi of the Labour Party is within his rights to address whether local and international, like Atiku has done. The SUG, Kayla, you know SUG, Student Union Government, has a right to also come up and air their views. The only difference, I dare say, from my perspective, is the fact that for whatever views that you air, Moses, that's you inclusive, Akin, me inclusive, I need to have a lot of responsibility to ensure that we are not in any way putting down our judiciary. I'll go to that. Because a lot of the things that we are talking about is in the temple of the judiciary. And my knowledge and my exposure, my experience tells me that when something is within the precincts of the judiciary, I am guided in some of the things I do say. Some of the things that Mr. Peter Gregory Obi said yesterday is that our reputation is all-time low. I agree with him 100%. And that reputation did not go low 100% yesterday or with the Tinubu'S saga. It has always been there. Peter Gregory Obi himself, in the run to the election that we had, one thing led to another thing, and he had to be detained for things that ostensibly he did not commit. So that's a reputational damage. We've had reputational damage to millions and trillions of Nigerians in the past 20 years, especially on account of the fact that we have been perceived, maybe in actual, to be a fantastically corrupt set of people. So it's going on, and I agree with him that at an appropriate time, given what the judiciary will make and pronounce on this matter, I dare say, I do not think we've had it this bad. Oh, perhaps two other instances. November 10 or 11 of 2005, where we had the Google Abacha hanging Ken Saro-Wiwa and co, while the whole world was still pleading, and then we only heard that they had been hung. That dipped our credibility and perception to all-time low, and perhaps in the run-up to then President Matthew Okikiolakun Aremu, Obasanjo's third time alleged bid, where we started saying Ghana must go back. So for me, it's right, enshrined under the Constitution, should come with some measure of responsibility, because when you throw a pebble in a pond, the pebble goes into the pond, right, Kayla?
Yeah.
But you begin to see a bit of a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Those ripple effects is not going to spare anybody. Thank you.
All right.
All right then.
This one would say this saga has also given the Nigerian politicians a perception. What ways has this controversy impacted Nigerian politicians?
Let's have Nick respond to that.
Well, Nick, please tell us what you think.
Sorry, come back again. You said what happened?
I said, in what ways has this, saga, this controversy impacted the perception of Nigerian politicians?
Very much, because Nigeria's image, both as citizens and our politicians, have been on the lowest ebb for a long time. Anywhere you appear in the world, you show your green passport, you're already taken to be a fraudster or criminal until you prove yourself otherwise. You are at an event or anywhere in the world and you say you are a Nigerian, there is a certain perception in the minds of the people about you. It's better you would have even said you are from Ghana. So Nigeria's image entirely as a country and as a people has been soiled, and the world knows that we have incompetent leaders who are corrupt. And over time, as it has happened severally in a place like the UK, leaders that we declared to be squeaky clean are tried and jailed in those countries on our behalf. So it's really a terrible thing, and I agree with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party that the certificate saga by enveloping our President Tinubu, has further worsened this image, the image of both us as citizens of the country and those who lead us. I mean, even if you take away corruption, there are certain things happening in this country that will not will remove any respect, any iota of respect that people have for our leaders. For instance, as we speak today, you see me, I'm sitting outside on my balcony to take this call. And as I'm doing so, I'm praying that the battery left in my computer and on my phone that is giving me the data doesn't get finished before the end of this interaction. But I am in the federal capital of one of the world's largest producers of gas. I am in the federal capital, I'm in Abuja, the federal capital of one of the world's largest producers of gas does not have electricity. And we are shipping our own electricity through the NLNG to other capitals in the world to give their own people 24/7 electricity. I mean, if you go to a village and one of the largest farmers of yam in that village, his own children are hungry, while his yams are exported to other families who are giving their children 3 square meals a day. I don't know the kind of reputation you would think that farmer has. I know in your mind, I'm sure you will shred his reputation as somebody who is incompetent, who doesn't know what he's doing. Why will he let his his children go hungry when he's sending yams to? And tragically, that farmer, he gathers some of the yam and sets fire on it while his children are suffering the impact of the pollution that is coming from those yams. And that is what Nigerian leaders are doing. As you go to the Niger Delta, as we speak now, the gas that should be giving electricity to Nigeria is on fire. Perpetual fires, burning 24/7. Okay. I don't think anybody in the world is going to give regard to such leaders. Right. There's nobody. All right. Forget the fact that when they travel abroad, the red carpet is laid. That is just diplomacy. It has nothing to do with the respect that the world has for them.
Well, Nick, let me stay with you a little bit longer on this one. I'm just going to ask you quickly. Now, the BBC has come out to say that no forgery was found in the president's papers. What do you make of that statement now?
Okay, so I wonder what the interest of the BBC is here. And these are the times when I think I try to believe what people say, that the advanced world is actually interested that a place like Nigeria should not have good democracy for their own nefarious reasons. Because, okay, let us look at it this way. Agreed, it is said and confirmed by Chicago State University that the president attended the institution. So that is fine. But there are still unanswered questions. For instance, the president's gender being listed as female, which has been attributed to a clerical error. Okay, let us say that is a clerical error. But the president submitted a certificate, a secondary school certificate, to the university to gain admission. And that certificate was issued before that school was set up. I would like the BBC to put their hand on their chest and say that if it emerges today that Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, submitted to a school a certificate of a school that was non-existent as at the time the certificate was issued, and whether Rishi Sunak will last in office for one more day. So these are the times that I just think that the advanced world, the UK and the BBC that I'm paying the TV license to, and I'm so annoyed if this story is correct, because every month I pay license fee of about £27 to the BBC, and I cannot understand how the BBC, after observing all of what has happened and the fact that a certificate of a school that was non-existent was given to a university to gain admission, is not an issue. And so if the BBC is watching me, or they ever hear this interview, let them take notice that I'm going to write a petition to them to the House of Parliament, because I'm going to write my parliamentarian to take this matter up with the DG of the BBC. Because if their summation of what has happened is to give a clean bill of health to President Tinubu, then the BBC has answers to questions to answer. That is my submission on this.
All right. right. Over to you now, Akin.
Hey.
Yes. Okay. Well, now we've had your stand and your opinion on the reputation this Nigeria has now because of the certificate saga. Well, I would like to know what steps should we take in to restore this issue and to restore the country's reputation. You know, I mean, now people see us like thieves, you know, people that forge certificates, and that's it.
The reputation has gone down all-time low amongst several. And one of those reputations also is coming from, should I qualify it, Moses? I think you asked a very beautiful question from my brother Nick on the BBC. We need to be very careful. Communication has to be effective, has to be integrated, has to be, you know, has to have boundaries, lest what we do inadvertently is keep ourselves sinking down low and low and low. No two persons, Moses, can ever win an argument. If your argument is saying that the cap I'm putting on is white, and Kayla feels it is white, of course, you begin to quarrel with one another. Don't you have eyes, or don't you have eyes, and all that kind of stuff? Then you need an arbiter who, perhaps in a democratic setting, when more people say it is black, it is white, or that neither of you is right, it looks more of a green. I don't even know if I'm right. You need that kind of arbiter.
So the BBC is the arbiter.
I am concerned.
Okay.
I am deeply saddened at the rate that we Nigerians are going out and throwing stones at the BBC. It is not right. It's not fair. The BBC came and stood within a precinct of looking at the Chicago State University. The BBC correspondent did not come and say, verify, to say our president is a criminal, or that he must have been a criminal, and that you should go ahead and even trace his DNA. That was not what was going on. Because at the end of the day, and part of what I begin to hear, the same BBC that during the NSAS came out and said quite a number of people were killed, and Nigerians and youths all gathered and said, yeah, hoopla. And then on this other side now, the same BBC, because they are not fitting to what I call your own kind of narrative. And that's the reason why I started by saying what needs to be done is leave this to the appropriate authorities. All these things are in the prison of the courts. We should not continue, because that's another bad reputation that we might be throwing out. Yes, opinions and your feelings are free, but it has to be within what I like to call a responsible gamut. If it doesn't happen that way, now I hear, I don't know if you have heard about it, that the hapless correspondents have had to shut their former Twitter on account of the fact that we had, allegedly, Nigerians have been bombarding them. They are looking for their pictures and all that kind of, oh, come on. Oh, come on. That is not the Nigeria that I know we have to go through the due process. And if a forgery, hey, wait a minute. If a forgery is proven by the discovery, because the whole essence of what Atiku Abubakar, I don't know, is it Atiku Abubakar or we are also having
Sadiq.
Or Sadiq Abubakar or whatever it is. Again, you know, okay. you know the impression that is created, that what kind of...
Well, he has come to explain that.
What kind of... Yes! So he has a right to continue to explain. I, as a Nigerian, as a very proud Nigerian, would not be the first that will now begin to throw stones outside the shores of this country to say that we are bad. No, I see us as a half-filled bottle. But proud people
let me
that can go and hold their heads anywhere under the sun. Let
me interrupt you here.
By way of due process. Yes.
All right, let me interrupt here.
Yes,
we are not preempting the courts, obviously. We'll let the courts determine the status of the certificate presented.
Yes.
And also, let's make it clear that CSU has come out to say the president did attend, and the president graduated,
right,
and they issued diploma to him. But the bone of contention is here is what the president presented to INEC is said to be different
yes,
from what was issued to him
yes,
by the institution. So that's the bone of contention.
Yeah.
And also, in light of talking about how this affects Nigerians, especially in the diaspora, just recently, about 700 Nigerian nurses were said to have been asked to clarify their certificates because there were issues of forgery there. Now, I do understand, that in itself made news and people talked about it and said, oh, if the president did not get himself in that kind of position, Nigerian nurses practicing in the UK would not be placed, would not have to go through this. Now, let me just clarify that the UK also has come out to say, no, it wasn't forgery based on certificates. It was forgery based on results from CBTs conducted before they entered the UK. But albeit forgery has been established. What do you make of this as it affects Nigeria's image in the eyes of the world?
Let's take them by layers. Your first point about the the certificates saga thing is only a tip of the iceberg based on what I know. What I also know is that Carl Westberg came and made a deposition under oath that they do not issue diplomas. The American system is different from the way we are looking at it from our end, and that there are possibilities. I don't know, at the end, there are possibilities that you can go to a third party.
Okay, but I think Nick will have to respond to that. Of course.
And that over time, you have different diplomas that what they stand upon is a testimonial by way of your results. That is what happens now. Am I in any way saying that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria might not have deliberately gone to forge? It's not for me. I didn't see that from the discovery. I didn't see that. So, if you saw that, I didn't see that, and perhaps my friend Nick and others see it, let's leave it to an arbiter. The arbiter will make a pronouncement on it. So that is number one. Then number two, forgery is a very serious matter that has to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. It is not going to be a social media thing. You just spoken about the nurses. In 2020, at the wake of the COVID thing, Nigerian nurses, midwives, who were considered to be the best anywhere in the world, they found the CBT thing that you mentioned. They found it with them. We are not talking about certificate. It has always been from time immemorial, in a manner of speaking.
That hurts my feelings.
Do we? Oh, it hurts your feelings. It's going to hurt your feelings.
That Nigerians are corrupt.
It hurts your feelings because we are not going about it the way we should go about it. I know Nigerians. I am a Nigerian. I know Nigerians who have studied in Nigeria, who will never, even if it's going to be one, if it's going to be five, that we can show to the world that yes, no matter what, these people will not even be corrupted in moral, in ethics, and what have you. Those are the type of people I am promoting.
Right.
Now, Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria has his date with history, has his date with law. Okay. Law will take care of itself. It is not for me. It is going to be against, real sub judice for me to sit on television or elsewhere and begin to make pontification. That is just my point.
All right. Nick, I don't know if you would like to respond because I know for sure that you studied abroad, that you've been there for quite a while, and you know about the institutions there, so you probably would be a good person to speak on how institutions in the abroad issue certificates and diplomas and testimonials and the rest of these things.
Yes, I would definitely like to respond because my co-panelist tries to minimize this issue. And I don't think we should be minimizing issues like this because even the world is watching us to see our reaction to matters like this. Like I did say in my first intervention, we agree that the president attended the university. Even the gender, we can consider to be a clerical error, as it's been said. But if the president presented a secondary school certificate to the Chicago State University of an institution that was not yet in existence, that is forgery. If that is not forgery, I will need someone to give me the dictionary definition of forgery. If there was no school and you for some reason got the certificate of that school and presented it to gain admission into a university, if it is not forgery, I want to know what forgery is. So the president forged his secondary certificate and issued it to the Chicago University, knowing that Chicago University did not have what it takes, we're not in the days of social media or the online, to confirm whether that school was existing or not. And I want to tell my co-panelists directly that if Rishi Sunak, the sitting prime minister of the United Kingdom, has been shown to have forged a certificate that we in the UK are not going to be leaving that matter for the courts. That Rishi Sunak himself will honorably, to save the United Kingdom, its image, resign his job. He doesn't even need to stay in the office. He will not even stay in the office for one day because I can assure you, unlike what my co-panelists say, these things will have to be in the court. If Rishi Sunak is found to have forged a certificate, all the news networks, all parliamentarian, all UK citizens, there will be no other topic of discussion, whether on conventional media, on social media, if other than the certificate saga of the prime minister. And you know, I keep saying this thing on this network here, that one of the biggest problems that we have in Nigeria is we, the citizens, always giving a soft landing to our leaders instead of putting their feet to fire. Look, in those places that our people are jackpotting into, it is the citizens that are actually pressuring their leaders so that they will deliver good governance. The dividends of democracy that the citizens are enjoying in America, in France, in UK, in Germany, is not coming from the goodness of heart of the leaders. It's coming from the pressure that the people are putting those leaders to. So there is something that Rishi Sunak knows. And by the way, my company should also understand that Rishi Sunak was investigated and his feet was put to fire by the court of public opinion only because he did not report a business that his wife, it's not Rishi Sunak himself, or a business that his wife has interest in. And that thing almost took him down from his prime ministership, from his premiership, if my co-panelists doesn't understand that. So we cannot just be looking at these things and making light of them, and then we hope that our leaders will give us good governance. It's not going to happen. That's just the truth. And I have attended.
Nick, I want to make a point.
All right.
And you and I are on the same page. I am not sitting down here and trying to give soft landing to anybody. No. I keep on consistently saying, let's go through that process. You are not guilty until you are found.
Well, you did say
Now,
you did not find any.
Now,
anything
he is
wrong.
also talking about issue of morality. I am with you. In fact, my belief is that sooner than later, a situation is going to arise that Mr. Bola Tinubu, who is currently, please, let's look at that office, who is currently the president of Nigeria, will have no choice. It is not by you saying it on television or saying it on X, he will have no choice but to go. That is all I am. I'm only saying we should try and be fair.
But
Now, the person that accused him too is now being accused and all that. All I'm just saying is that let's show a bit of caution. You know, the wheel of justice, they may grind very slowly. William Wordsworth said that. But they grind exceedingly well. It will get to that.
All right.
Richie Sunak or any other person, I agree with you. Do you know, Nick? Do you know, Nick? The innumerable and immeasurable damage that the whole of this has even done on Mr. President himself. Can you imagine?
I was going to ask you that.
Yes.
I was going to ask you that quickly, and I would like your response in 2-3 minutes. Try to understand everything that has played out so far.
Yes.
As a communicator,
yes.
How would you now explain the president's statement when he said the release of those papers will cause irreparable damage to his person? Because from what we can see, one would think, is it really about this paper?
Moses,
After all, you attended the
I
institution.
agree with you when you have a skeleton that you want to hide, and then every click of a finger will make you fear. But at the same time,
you don't think something was done to cover some things up at the end of the day?
As well. However, there is a rule.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also a rule that says privacy of educational records, like privacy of your medical records, is not something that should be disclosed. It has to be with my consent. So it's within the right of Mr. President, irrespective of how I have also told you that there must be something fishy somewhere. I have to still respect that. That is the law. That is the rule. If we move things according to law, it looks a bit slow and steady. It catches up, and it's going to catch up with us. Criminal offense is not something that we are going to just dump on the Supreme Court. It has to go through process of proving beyond reasonable doubt.
All right.
And that is the process I'm only asking for.
Okay.
That is the process that my communicators outside the shores of Nigeria expect, because they'll be asking
the process of the court.
Let's go through that process, and justice is going to be served.
All right.
At
So
appropriate
yes,
time.
Nigerians will. We really don't have a choice but to go through the process and allow the Supreme Court to, But then, should Nigerians now leave everything to the Supreme Court? We are discerning people, aren't we?
I agree.
We can look and say, okay, this is red, this is black.
Moses, do you know what is
Supreme Court?
Do you know what I'm discerning?
We are adjudicating based on evidence before us.
Do you know what I'm discerning?
What's that?
I agree morally, ethically, it does not make sense if the foundation is so bad. But I also know another foundation. That foundation that I know is that I'm not sure anybody will deny the fact that today Nigeria is spending 11 billion US dollars to be importing things we ought to be consuming.
Okay.
And I'm sure Mr. Gregory Peter Obi and Mr. Atiku, Nick, my dear brother, if he agrees to be my brother, and myself and yourselves, realize the fact that these are also great imminent dangers, and we have the capacity to be able to look at them. More and more people are dying. Security is going down.
The willingness to do this
is also the fact that can we spend some little time putting our thinking process on how the killers of this world.
We should not focus on the president. We should think about how to solve the problems.
It should be total.
Okay, so we will do so.
It should be total.
But for lack of time, let's quickly get on to the other part of the show, which still ties to this one. as we'll be talking about social media, all right, and public opinion. Now, up next on VOP this morning, if the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent, we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. Hopefully, NBC's step towards social media regulations doesn't tamper with this. Now, let's delve into this conversation when we return.